Atheism and science. Because I get a lot of the time accused that atheists worship science. All hail science. Science is our God. Science answers all questions. Well, no, not really. No, not at all, actually. Not even the slightest bit, actually. An atheist doesn't think there's a God. That's it. Has nothing to do with science. We don't worship science. Some people don't even trust science. Atheism and science are completely and utterly unrelated. Being an atheist doesn't make you a fan of science. Being an atheist doesn't even make you a skeptic. I know atheists who believe in homeopathy. Homeopathy is the belief that water is medicine, basically. It's crazy. Not quite as perceivably crazy as believing that there's an omniscient being that controls everything and has specially created humanity for the purpose of worshiping it, but it's still pretty out there. I am an atheist. I love science, specifically biology. I find biology fascinating, but I also really enjoy chemistry and physics and I like science. I find science interesting. And the thing that I love about science that many, many people say science is unreliable, the thing I love about science is it is not correct. Yes, I just said science is not correct. Why did I say science is not correct? Because science is not right or wrong. Science is a tool. Science is no more correct than a hammer is correct. Science is a tool used to find things out. Now, scientists, they can be right and they can be wrong. They can lie, they can steal, they can cheat, they can fake results. But here's the deal. Other scientists can come behind them and either verify or prove that their findings are wrong or false or that they faked it. As a scientist, and this is, I think, more true with modern scientists because they've learned lessons of not faking it that were a little bit common before. But they've learned lessons that there's two ways to become really famous. That is to become, to find a discovery that is just astounding and amazes everyone. And the other is to basically debunk. That's the word I was trying to figure out before. Debunk what somebody else's figured out. You make a name for yourself by basically discovering something or not even undiscovering. I guess to debunk somebody, you're discovering something. You're discovering that somebody was wrong. But I love that about science because that just shows that science is trying very hard to be correct, or I should say scientists are trying very hard to be correct. It is a self-correcting tool because the more it is used, the more evidence is gained, the more correct a finding becomes. Now, things like evolution. Evolution is true. We have enough evidence to show that that evolution is true. There's really nothing that shows that evolution is not true. But a lot of people just flatly say, "Oh, evolution is a lie." They've got nothing to back up that claim, and they've got nothing to be a better explanation. They just say evolution is a lie. God's real. Evolution is a lie. What's your solution for evolution? Creation? Oh no, creation, I don't stand behind creation, but I know evolution is a lie. Well, science is used to find things out. And the more science is used, the more things are found out and the more correct they become about the things that they have found. Because like most things, you can never find something out for 100% certainty. You can get pretty close, but there's always the chance that you're wrong. But at some point, you accept that this is the most reasonable, rational explanation we have for this particular thing. And that's what science is used for. And that's why I love science. Because it can be used to solve problems. And it isn't infallible because it is only a tool. Science is a tool, and science has nothing to do with atheism. You can't use science to prove or disprove atheism. You can't use science to prove or disprove theism. Until there is a God, or something you can qualify as a God, that you can test for a God, you can't use science. You can't just randomly say science can't prove God, because it's not trying to prove or disprove God, because there's nothing there to be tested. And that's what science does. It tests. It's a tool for testing theories and ideas to see if they're right or wrong. So science and atheism, unrelated. Science and evolution, unrelated. Science and, atheism, science and evolution, no. Atheism and evolution, unrelated. Atheism and Richard Dawkins, unrelated. Atheism and Christopher Hitchens, unrelated. Atheism and Darwin, unrelated. Atheism and anything that you want to tie to it beyond the simple, not thinking that there's a God, they're unrelated. Atheism is one thing, only one thing, that is not thinking there's a God. That is not rejecting God, but rejecting the claim that there is a God. That's all atheism is. So all this atheism worships this and atheism is that and atheism the other thing is all just a lie. It's all smokescreen. It's all just bullshit that you're throwing out there trying to convolute the argument of atheism. And there is no argument. Atheism is very simple, pure, true. Atheism is not thinking there's a God. That's all there is to it. No science involved. No science needed. No claim is being made. Therefore, no claim needs to be verified or debunked. It's just a very simple, logical belief that if there is no evidence for something, there is no reason to believe it exists. Show us some evidence of God and we'll have a reason. But no evidence has ever been shown for God. Therefore, there's no reason to believe a God exists. Now, you can believe in God. That's fine. That's standing. Yeah, go ahead. But don't complain if we make fun of you for believing in something without any evidence. I mean, I know that there's some very smart people who believe that there is a God. I know smart people who have worked it out in their heads that God is real. But there is no evidence. There is nothing except for the claims made by man. That is the only thing that's telling you there is a God. Other people. That's it. And they're telling you that life is evidence, and the universe is evidence, and the finely tuned universe is evidence. They're telling you all these things are evidence, but they're not evidence for God. They're not evidence really for anything. They're evidence for reality as we know it. That's all they're evidence for. We can see them, we can experience them. Therefore, they're real. That's all they're evidence of. They're evidence of them being real. But they're not evidence for God. Just saying that they're evidence for God does not mean that they're evidence for God. And science isn't going to help you prove God, because science has got nothing to go on when it comes to God. Do you know that they tried to prove that souls existed by weighing them? I forget what it was, but it was some amount somebody decided was the weight of a soul, and that was proof, and that was later shown to be just silliness. But science has nothing to do with atheism. Science cannot prove or disprove God. Atheism makes no claims about God. Therefore, atheism has nothing to prove or disprove regarding God. So science is useless there as well. Anyways, I'm Tom, your friendly neighborhood atheist. And quit bringing up science as atheism's God or the thing atheists worship. And quit trying to convolute atheism with all these other things that is unrelated to. Because it's unrelated. Therefore, you don't need to bring it up. Now, religion, you can bring up all kinds of stuff. Religion has all kinds of beliefs and all kinds of practices and all kinds of policies and all kinds of convoluted nonsense. Atheism doesn't. Atheism has nothing. Atheism has one thing, only one thing. I cannot stress that enough. Atheism has only one thing. It is nothing else but this one thing, which is not thinking there's a God. That's all. I don't know why people can't get that through their heads. Is it refusal, or just you just can't accept it because it's just too... How can you not believe there's a God? There must be something wrong with you. No, there's not anything wrong with not thinking there's a God. Because there's no reason to think there's a God. Really. There's nothing. You can say there is, but there isn't. I just see nature. I just see reality. That's good enough for me. I don't need a God to explain it. I don't need science to give me the answers. I don't need to have the answers to accept the reality as I see it. But science has given us a lot of the answers. And a lot of the answers that science has given us have been the things that used to be attributed to God. I know I'm running on a bit here, but I just cannot stress enough. Science has nothing to do with atheism. Science cannot prove or disprove God. And saying you have proof is not proof. Just like the Bible cannot be used to prove the Bible. That's silly. You should understand that that is a silly argument. And telling an atheist that we worship science is silly, because atheists don't worship anything in a whole. I mean, some atheists worship football, some atheists worship, atheists, they worship things, but not in the religious way, in the more like, I'm a big fan kind of way. So, last try. Atheism and science, unrelated. I love science, but not because I'm an atheist. I love science because it's really cool and it's interesting. So there.